God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 6 of Your Journey is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and to Your Journey is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Jumping back in and getting back on track. When I left off on exactly what led me, forced me into huge anxiety, major panic attacks, and what I didn't even realize at the time, too, depression and complete agoraphobia. And yes, if this can happen to me, like so many things in my life, it can happen to anyone. Well, where I left off was I had to retain an attorney in another city, another county. And once I explained everything to him, he definitely wanted to help me to get answers. Finally, someone who's seen the injustice and again wanted to help me. So he first called my aunt. Again, I was privy to this conversation, and it was just a little piece of justice to again hear her caught off guard and stuttering. He politely introduced himself and explained that what he was looking for was something in writing, in my mother's handwriting, that states cremation was her wishes and a copy of her will. She responded with she had a copy of the will, but nothing in writing about my mother's cremation. And she said she could send out a copy of the will via fax within a couple of days. So again, the waiting game. I felt like when I found out about my mother's death on a Saturday and having to wait until Monday to get answers, I didn't get too many answers. After the complete blindside of her death and the cremation, I got the runaround, the put off. People acting like it was no big deal. It wasn't their mother. It was mine. So after a couple of days, my attorney called me and he asked how soon I could get there to his office. He had a copy of the will and didn't want to read it to me on the phone. He wanted me to see it and read it for myself. So I told him within the hour I could be there. To be honest, there was no anticipation as far as her will. Most of everything she had, I had bought or somehow I'd gotten suckered into buying. And her rings, necklaces, etc. Again, I had bought some for gifts throughout the years, and others, well, my dad had bought them. And they are pieces that I helped, in fact, pick out, every single piece. Every Christmas, he and I would have a whole tradition. The last day of school before Christmas break, we would meet at the mall for dinner and to Christmas shop together. These are precious memories of mine. And yes, the pieces are sentimental, only because my dad bought them and I picked them out, along with her china. There was close to 50 patterns on the pieces of china, so my dad let me pick out the pattern, the set that I thought she would like the most. So definitely not looking for my mom's possessions nor material gain. Not who I am. I have always provided for myself and others. What I was looking for was something in writing about her cremation. Even still with that, what was done was illegal, and to deny that my brother and I even existed, well, that was morally corrupt in every way possible. I stand on principles, and some dislike me for that, and that's okay, but they respect me, and they know exactly where I stand. So as I get to his office, he hands me the copy of the will, and then tells me to have a seat, to read it front to back, and don't respond until I'm finished reading it completely. Okay, let the reading begin. It states that she leaves nothing to me, her daughter, for reasons known only to her and myself. It proceeds to go on to state that everything goes to my brother. Was I shocked? Yes. The state that my brother was in? Okay, it was her stuff, her decision. But I did notice that this will was also drafted in 2015, also the year I hit rock bottom. It was a bad business deal that cost me everything and made someone else close to $500,000. Hey, we live and we learn, right? But I was starving. I was working 2 and 3 jobs, donating plasma, doing what I could to pay the bills and get ahead enough to buy groceries. My worst fears had come to pass. It was childhood trauma, history repeating itself, the lack of, the going without for days, helpless and at times hopeless. Well, it was during this time that my mother breezed back into my life. Of course she did. She wanted to relish in my downfall, not rescue me. I got told by her in text that I still have. I deserve this. I might as well go kill myself. And that I was just a girl that she gave birth to and that she wished she had never had. I was nothing but trouble my whole life. Oh, it was crumbling, heart wrenching. And I was already down, defeated, starving, traumatized, barely holding on. And to read this from the person that gave birth to me, I later found out that during the same time frame, she was helping to pay my cousin's rent. She let me starve and help someone else. Well, it was during these text messages that I begged God to make her just stop texting me, to make her go away, back to the separation that we had. And I also promised him I would never open that door again. I keep my promises, especially to God. I forgive what people do and say to me, even if it's done with intent and malice, but it doesn't mean I have to have anything to do with them again. As they say, you never forget who lights your path when you're in the dark, and you never forget who left you in the dark in the first place, scared, alone, hungry. My grandma always said, you always forgive, but you must never forget. So it was during this period that I walked away. She had given me some stuff, some paper towels, toilet paper, soap, shampoo, conditioner, and had demanded it all back. Always an Indian giver. I should have known not to even accept it in the first place, but so the next day after these texts, I returned that stuff personally, and I knew it would be the final time. I had promised God I would never open that door again for my own protection, for my own mental wellness. So I kissed her goodbye on the cheek and I pulled away and I told her, I love you. She could never be what I needed as far as a mother, and realizing that for the final time, catching me on the edge of a cliff, barely hanging on, and then come along and wanting to relish in it, wanting to stomp on my fingers, instead of helping me back on my feet, back to safety, dusting me off, helping me to regain my balance. Again, enjoying my downfall. One never forgets that. So that was it. That same year, this will was drafted. Well, my reaction definitely shocked my attorney. I'm sure he didn't see it coming. And as I've been told so many times in my life, I'm unpredictable. I do not own the rights to the things that I chose to share today. When God pushes you to the edge of difficulty, trust Him fully, because two things can happen. Either He will catch you when you fall, or He will teach you how to fly. Fear not, for I am with you, says the Lord. That's Isaiah 41:10. When trauma gets triggered, you don't act your age. You regress back to the age that the wound was created. Heal and awaken and become that safe, secure person. Become the best version of yourself. I'll never forget the ones who came with a lamp when I was in the dark. Not to fix me, not to judge me, but to sit beside me until I could see again. Faith doesn't always take you out of the problem. Faith takes you through the problem. Faith doesn't always take you away from the pain. Faith gives you the ability to handle the pain. Faith doesn't always take you out of the storm. Faith calms you in the midst of the storm. Please keep your faith. And I will end with one of my very own favorites. It's energy that makes you unforgettable. Beauty, well, it just gets you noticed. This concludes my podcast for this week. Please join me next Tuesday. Listen in, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been